figured that much. These people think it's a game until it's the end. They think it's a game until they really find out. Yeah. Well, I have no feelings. It's freaking hot. Young and foolish, sadly. Sure, texting a lot to say nothing. That's good. Let's see. Yep. That's if you don't know. Alrighty then. Speaking of a minute, he should be here. I just heard a vehicle. That's my neighbor. Oh, babies. Notifications are going out, and I don't, as I already know, because I don't want to go into how many channels I have to go and hit the notification bell, or it's hit, but then nobody's getting it. I would say something, and they probably do the same thing. Excuse me. I ate two of those burgers, man. Two of those thing. Let me get this out. I ate two of those those plant-based burgers. Oh man, what's happening? What's happening? Who is that? So they want to play the game. I understand that your subscribers are not being notified if you would do his live streams. That don't. You gotta make sense. Appreciate it. I said before, everybody hunker down. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. I was going to say no. Go right ahead. Anyway, I actually want to wait for a few more people. Usually I would wait for 10 minutes. I don't feel like playing music. I'm watching look at that enlightening, and I love what this lady is talking about. It is it's pretty intense, and I really respect this. And she's I don't want to call people who speak truth motivational speakers. Maybe she might have picked up that moniker. I couldn't tell you, but I know that I enjoy what she says. She reminds me of my Savona, my grandmaster, Taekwondo. He was very philosophical. I mean, literally, beyond the scope, and I respected it. And I was at that time I was really reading a lot of Bruce Lee's philosophy and a few others. And she, quite a few. I was reading about 5 or 6 at the library. Um, Pretty exceptional, pretty exceptional. And this lady is phenomenal. When she tells us her life story, how she got to where she's at, it is just beyond, mind. The whole concept of mind. It's phenomenal. You could tell that she walked through some serious stuff. About 80 years old now, He's 81 years old, and it's just phenomenal. I mean, I would play and let it be listened, but that would be copyright because it's not, you know. Another thing about the commentary on it, and just did partials, but no, I won't do that. She's phenomenal, and there's other speakers on this channel, which is um, pretty nurturing, to say the minimal. But I really wanted to go into something. I really wanted to express something about the time and the age we are living in. And I was hoping that we get more. Well, we got 3 or 4 people. Well, first I wanted to say, a year ago, right? You know, the FDA, um, Food and Drug Administration, or was it FDA? Yeah, they had all the people who have cows, chickens, pigs, and all that. They had required them to stop giving them antibiotics. Now you know that most of the animals today, for whatever reason, are full of all kind of disease. Now, what is that from? When I go back to the 60s and 70s and 80s, that wasn't the issue. That was right at the turn, Jimmy Carter, and it goes to Reagan and so on, when they started acquiring many of our farmlands from the 1940s up until that point. There was still thousands of our people had well over a couple million acres, stealing them by way of the Zionist banks. And I don't have to design this. Stealing by way of the banks. You do the work on your own. And literally stealing them, utilizing IRS and everything else, which is false. And the people bent to it and to grow GMO soy and corn. Now, GMO soy wasn't being used at that time. This is around roughly in the 80s when that one scientist came out and spoke to brother. He's still alive, surprisingly. Spoke about the tests they were doing and seeing in certain insects, rodents, and frogs. And he specifically talked about how the male frog, due to this chemical, was making them more female. And that was literally what was coming from the GMO soil. Now, when I was in Korea, it was funny because I drank what looked like considered the soy chocolate milk they had was totally different from the soy here. Because when I worked at Whole Foods in Bloomfield Avenue, and manager, night supervisor, then assistant manager, I noticed a change with the Koreans who would come on vacation would never buy no soy or silk, so none of it. Even the soy that said organic, they wouldn't buy it. I and the Japanese, nobody would buy it. I couldn't make heads of it. Now I see why. The other thing is the Amish. I notice how people who are pretty much off the grid, regardless of working in textile, building RVs and all things that they do, the ones that are permitted allowed to, because they work like we did in the military, like 12, 16 hours nonstop, turning out for this revenue, this corporate ideology. And you have these jackboots who it is not their job to do it because it's not their policy, going and telling them, checking on them, the feds, about their food, organic, and their produce and stuff. Where did that come from? And then we look at the school, teaching our children, unbeknownst, until a couple of years ago when somebody got in office, socialism and fascism and Marxism. Well, how dare they? Right? And then the further targeting and toxification of our water. And it was funny how it was Flint, Michigan, and then it was Chicago, and then it was, and it's just ongoing. And I remember expressing to you all that I knew this 2 Navajo men who worked at the water treatment plant. A lot of the Navajos believed the water coming from the mountains was fresh, but it was going through a water treatment facility, and the cesspool was being refurbished. We're made to believe that they can't remove certain psychotropic drugs and um, certain chemicals, which is false. It is pure delusional for anybody to believe when they say that. Now, you heard what I said about the incinerator, if you want to be incinerated. The fact that coffee cans, the big, every time they incinerated bodies that died in the hospital, they were finding all kind of medical equipment. The other thing is, when nobody's paying attention to the push to take your guns. I want to say this, and I say this adamantly. Do not ever give up your firearms. Never. And then you hear Charles Schwab and all those individuals and the statements they're making. And isn't it funny how right now Wells Fargo, Chase Manhattan Bank, and all those things are ready to incorporate their new banking system? All of a sudden, everything's tied in. And then the fact that so many food distribution centers and warehouses, we're talking about the major, have been burnt, reminds you of the World Fair, burnt down within a 12-month period. All of these carried out. Now, if that's in covert, and there are places where people are talking about there are things on the shelves, they don't, like Lindt chocolate. I was happy to see that they only had 85. They didn't have no more 90%. I said, well, I told the young man I was going to let the manager know that it's heavy in cadmium and metal. It's funny how y'all had that one. But thank goodness he had just put some Giraldi up on, which is very, very low, below the required standards. So it meets perfect of certain metals. So I was happy to see that. So I wouldn't have to spend an arm and leg ordering stuff. And then the fact that so many people are awakening to what December the 5th, 25th, and Easter is really all about. And some would say, yeah, man, you're ruining my holiday. No. You're ruining yourself by holding yourself to it, because it does. Energy is real, and it's a spiritual battle. Whether there's a Satan, like I stated earlier, it's whatever. The fact of the matter is, we have to stop looking outside of ourselves. Now, you see the thing what's going on with the gas. Are you aware that we are not low in anything? I'm not saying that you're not seeing that it's not happening at the pump, nor is it not happening on the shelves, that you're seeing different things come in. And it's funny how all of a sudden Signature, when I see it, was always China. The tuna and everything was coming from China mostly. Now California. It's funny how everything is all of a sudden coming from a place that wasn't known for produce, seafood, or any of that. And nobody's paying attention to the great farms they have over there of all these very toxic, whether it be crustaceans, fish, major farms off shorelines of Texas, down in the Gulf, South America. When did that ever become a thing, when we had the major fishing and produce? And it's all around the same time. So you see what I put there. Now I put that there because nobody's, and I don't like the word prep, but it is what it is. They prep to go against everybody. And then you see the laws they just pass so quickly. 19 Republicans voted for it. And they can't, and people want to say in ignorance. No. I don't believe that, though that is what's being pushed. They're not our politicians, y'all. The government is not our government, people. If you want to sit there doing your hands like this, believing everything is going to work out for you, so be it. I wouldn't care if you were all feds watching or work for the YouTube staff. It wouldn't matter to me, because there's enough people around me where we have these conversations. So it's going to get out there different from how I put it out there. And what I'm saying is, just pay attention to what's going on. I'm not a fearmonger and I'm not pushing that. I cannot sit here and say that this is all factual. What I'm saying is, do you see it? I want to enlighten you by having you enlighten yourself from the inside instead of looking outside all the time. On what direction of it, whatever direction that takes, that's your choice. I'm not here to tell you which way to turn, which way to go, which way to walk, how to swim. I'm not here to do any of that. I know this much. You haven't seen nothing yet. And I'm also aware that these idiots are broken. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Whatever, man. Yeah, of course. I'm talking. You probably see that live, as my buddy said. And some people really don't. I hate the word. I detest the word magic and shadow word, which is not bad though. I don't recognize any labels to what I know how to do. I know this much. I had somebody walk by me not too long ago and says, "Whatever you're doing, stop it," and didn't know me from anything. No. So if you really want to find out, keep playing around. I am not targeting nobody here. I don't need to know your name, what you look like, or where you live. That's not a threat. I always said, leave me alone. I'm tired of asking numbskulls to leave me alone. I really am. It's on you. Now, with that being said, you can do and believe whatever you want. You can hold on to whatever it is you're holding on to. You can believe whatever you want to believe. Do as thou wilt. Yeah. And believe that is you doing it. Go right ahead. What I'm saying is, there is so much more going on. And again, it's another amazing to me. It is another amaze me type situation. When I see the gay agenda being pushed where it should not be pushed, I see the Luciferian agenda being pushed. I see even Mr. Cooper's Four Horsemen being laid at bold, and that really took off, especially after the Georgia Guidestones were mysteriously destroyed or blown up all of a sudden. As if that wasn't a message in itself. um, we see the red flag loss. We see everything that alludes to something, that alludes to something else, that alludes to something else. I know that my associates all know that I was going to come alive and they would be here. So you're entertaining. I'm not. I'm not entertained, and probably got you a little off guard because you believe in what you may have been allowed to see or what you think you know. That's fine. Oh yeah, this is good. Wheatgrass, cilantro, cabbage, little parsley because cilantro and parsley kind of do the same thing. But I didn't like the way the okra looked, so it's pretty chlorophyll strong and stringent, but it removes heavy metals. To name one. So excuse me. No, you didn't lose me. I was laughing when I heard somebody discussing some of these platforms. Mama Red, how are you doing? How are you, baby girl? We had an audience come in. And I've discussed this stuff since I was in the military. I remember telling my grandmother and my aunt, and I was telling all of them, do not drink tap water. Stop making coffee and tea. You cannot boil away a lot of this stuff. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I was in my 20s at that time. I said, friend of mine's uncle worked at the water treatment plant and says the stuff that they were pouring in the water that made no sense, and he started getting eczema on his arms. Now I don't even know if that's part of it. I didn't look it up. And there was somebody that worked with him who did testing, and it was not just fluoride being poured in the water, people. And he said that he didn't want to say too much more. There was no cell phones at the time. First cell phone I got was 2001. I think it was Sprint. When they really became something, even though we know that was a brother back in 1970, 80, whatever, that created the first one in Detroit. That was like a shoebox with the big old thing, I believe it was built differently because we know that we had the big old walkie talkies and all that kind of stuff. But he expressed it and he didn't want to talk anymore. So there was nothing around to hear him talking, at least other than boom mics that feds or police utilize. Block down and listen to your conversations, drug deals, or listen to you park in front of your house and listen to you in your house. So he said something had his boy, what's called pretty worried, and he just wanted to say that's not just fluoride. And, that's to get paid. That's what they had to do. Now, today, I actually was asking some people if they know anybody that's working at the water treatment facility, because the one that I rode by, I saw armed guards there, and that was kind of off the mark of what I'm used to seeing. What are armed guards doing at the water facility? Is it the little fake terror thing because of the World Trade Centers being brought down? I don't know what to tell you. I remember going there, and when I stated it was a fact, I knew what thermite looks like when it melts still. And jet fuel, whether it be JP4 or 5, whatever, it does not do that. And most of the magnesium on a jet is usually in the brakes because it can get really, really hot. Brake fires were common, A7s, we have to go out there with AFFF, aqueous film forming foam, AFFF, which now those of us that utilize it, I can add that to my resume of disabilities. It really messed a lot of us up. Just like CCP, CPC, corrosion preventative compound, all that, and naphtha, all that stuff messed all of us up. Though I am doing better than the majority, I know. Brothers of mine getting chemo, brothers of mine, I don't want to go into it because, even though I'm not a doctor, that's still HIPAA. It's not my business to speak on it, but I can speak on the fact that a lot of my brothers who worked under me and who I worked beside utilizing that stuff are very ill. Very ill. I know this much. It has been a slow process to get us where we're at. Meticulous. And surprisingly, I believe there's something out there to take care of it. Look at the medicine. The big pharmacy, they give you stuff to not heal, but to medicate you. When we had things to heal you. And it's well known that most things created, there is, for every action is opposite, there is something that can clean it up. That's pretty sick. You know what I mean? Rondo should be pulling up here in a minute. Oh, wow. Okay. It says if you've already posted 3 times in a 24-hour period, viewers won't get notifications on additional posts in that time period. You can learn more about notifications and say, okay, well, I will look into it. All right, appreciate it. See, one thing I don't get all angry and all that, it's unworthy. So I will open that in Chrome and I will save that. Cool. So I can. All right. So that's cool. Awesome. So anyway. And there's so many more things. I remember ice trucks. When I was growing up, we used to have these trucks come by and blocks of ice. Even though we had a refrigerator, yes, and freezer, deep freezer and all that. But the block of ice was very important back then in the 70s, in the 60s. block of ice and like milk on your porch, which we had never had milk. That takes off. I forget what this one, which called pharmacologist was saying, how many years of life, you know, a gallon of milk will take off for you. I forget. I'll have to look into that. Well, maybe y'all can look into that. A gallon of milk, what was it? Was it you can get about 30 to 40 bowls of cereal out of a gallon, supposedly. 'Cause we used to mix boiled water with it. My grandmother was adamant about adding water to the milk. And we drank goat milk too, which wasn't, and we drank raw goat milk, which wasn't better, but it was a lot better than what was coming from out of the cow, which were never meant to drink. We should have been drinking, sipping water or certain, like corn or coconut, It, it amazes me to remember people, old heads, talking about how they used to drink tobacco like tea. See, I was unaware that it had over 121 chemicals sprayed on the leaf on the plant to cause children and people to get addicted to it. Viceroys, camels, Pall Malls, and so on and so on. And then comes along the menthol, which was the worst thing for your throat and your lungs, the silica, in your tongue and the back of your throat. Was unaware. When the first time I smoked a cool, I thought my lung was going to throw up a lung. And when I then having to brush my tongue and get the scraper, I don't need none of that now. It's amazing at the things that were done. But how do we account for the choices we made in ignorance? Because I'm always saying we have a choice. What about when you don't have a choice? When you have given everything over to certain entities, how did we get there to giving everything over to certain entities? That is what I question all the time. Not as a non-benefactor. It's not like I don't know. But the map, the road is so far and wide. It's amazing. Sure. When I saw those two ladies and that one guy talking about they were dropping off Similac, and there was a bunch of Asians and certain other people with heavy clothes and with masks on, destroying the Similac, brand new pallets of Similac being dropped off in Infamil, and they were literally destroying it, making piles. It blew my mind. And then the one lady who took the phone and recorded it, and nobody was paying attention, surprisingly. And literally, that's what was happening. We're talking about Similac. And I'm not big on formula. It's the worst thing because of soy and everything in it that pretty much messes up the children. Any adults to want to harm children should be a significant sign to they are no good. But here you have Balenciaga, here you have Chase Manhattan, you have bankers, you have all these things. And then World War II. Isn't it funny that Britain was the target by Germany and Japan, which they weren't at first? How did it happen? And at the very end, who were the bankers? And how is it that they can have England sign the Belfort agreements with this so-called Holocaust when there weren't even 6 million of them people there, and they're pretty much the same? It's amazing. I, to this day, don't believe in not one narrative pushed about racist, this, that, and other, because we see the racism with England, the Zionist retards, we see it with everybody else. Australia, oh my goodness. We had people in Germany who fought in the Blitzkrieg. We had people in Japan. It wasn't even like that. I actually read stories of brothers in Japan and how they stayed. Why you don't hear about that? I believe we fought the good guys, and we were the enemies fighting for their Lucifer, Nimrod, Satan, Isaiah, whatever, some Zaza, whatever. Our people were duped by having the illusion of being the greatest country, who sit back waiting, just like Vietnam after France pulled out. Make it make sense. Isn't it funny how there were those from France who fought alongside Germany and those from France who fought against their own brother? Does it make sense yet? I just wanted to come on and speak on that. Um, our brother, Rondo should be arriving here. Want to make sure that his truck is secure. Only firearms allowed in this house of mine. More than enough. So, except for the personals. Um, there's too many guns around here, y'all. Trust me. And cameras looking out of windows like mine. Everybody's got cameras for facing out. Well, those of us who have conversed, having a couple of beers 3 or 4 years ago, and we all, oh yeah, and we have this place tightened down with cameras. Might be him pulling in. Hold on. No, not yet. He would probably be calling anyway. Messaging. But I'm gonna go ahead and get my shoes on. I'm gonna go ahead and buckle it down, and this is kind of be some of what's going to be talked about on the open mic. If we can get everybody go out and shoot and come back, sit around the table, round the square table, round table, and we all get on our platforms, and I go live, and we have these conversations. Like I said, it's going to be a good one. I just really wish that people would look further into themselves, know that you are very important, that you are so capable. The DNA, right, strand. Are you aware that that part that loves jazz or whatever good music, when they're talking about the crazy stuff, to get you all aggravated and hyped up, but those musics that have a balance of the megahertz, that if something's starting to destroy that, it will actually fold over and start recreating itself. We're talking about unbelievably fast, just all throughout you, what you call repair, but in the dynamics of the molecular structure, that it does that, and the other part is absorbed. The same thing up here. You are incredibly beyond fascinating. You are capable of so much more. And you really must look at this. I always got people talking about, "Yo, Red, how come you don't have no bags?" And I said, because I'm getting some rest. And it ain't the best sleep, but it's the best for me. I'm not stressing about anything. I refuse to. There's no way. I just can't. If somebody said that, "Oh, your whole family died," and I'll be like, "Well, they're okay." I wouldn't be able to expand or expound on any more than that. Okay. Well, tend to yours. Need some help? I mean, some things uh, cannot be truly explained, right? There are those out there that believe they know everything and they can explain it all. Really, yeah. But no, everybody's being lied to on one form or another. It doesn't matter what position, who you think you are, how sick you are, how great you believe you are. Everybody is being lied to, one way or the other. Everyone. You have people running around living a lifestyle that is not a lifestyle they would be living. if things hadn't changed over the last 30 to 40 years. Well, see, those individuals have been going nonstop and they're not going to stop. Imagine you being privy to make it through something beyond the scope of understanding and then to reestablish something different. You would feel all powerful, entitled, enlightened to something nobody else knows. And then you'll be obliged to carry out what is required by knowing something nobody else knows. Would you like to be the bearer or the keeper of that? See, there's a lot of people today that will say, heck yeah, to live again, to live another day and make the same mistakes over and over. No. I'm inclusive with that. The way my brain fires off. Anyway, it's going to be a good one. Okay. Tomorrow, I'm going to shut it down because I want to add no more to a 24-hour period. It might have to wait another day. So everybody might have to get home and get cozy and tucked in, be around the children or whatever they're doing if they're partaking in this stuff. And we move forward from there. And if we could go live tomorrow and I send out notifications and put a short up saying today we'll be going live and people catch it. And the topics will be, and so be it. Okay. I appreciate you all stopping in, and I know it's kind of late. But just share it. So that way people will be informed about the open mic that's coming up. And I will set it up. I'll set up tomorrow, and if they have to go back, depending on the travels and everything. And so be it. I'll be going out to Trauma Hawks Land. Could have done it tomorrow if we would have planned a little earlier, but we'll set that up for another time. And I might go live when we do that to survey and walk around the 40 acres and give you a little what it's like. I own a few acres in Florida, in Jacksonville, but I may sell it. We'll see. I'm not going back there. No, there's too much water around there. Other than that, y'all have a grand evening. I appreciate everybody coming in. And there's much more I want to say, and it can go on forever, and I just don't feel it's proper time right now. So I stated what needed to be stated. Y'all look into some of those things and see what you can find and pull up. And y'all have a grand evening. Who came in? Mama Red. Yes. Well, it does make sense, right? The thing is, though, to look into it. I don't want my word to be not taken lightly, but don't believe half of what you hear. And believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. So look into it and see what you find. Okay, I'm adamant about that. Don't believe anything I'm saying. Though I'm sharing something or I'm expressing or talking about something, just look into it yourself and see what you find. All right. So you'll have a grand evening. I appreciate you. The thumbs up. I know the notification bells are on. I didn't know that. But I'll catch up with y'all tomorrow. All right. Good. Y'all have a good evening. All right. Y'all get well rested. Trust me. All right. Grand night.